Now, normally when I stand here and talk about a bike that's in front of me on this channel, what I'm saying is, oh, I bought this bike off Facebook Marketplace, I've thrown it together with parts out the spares bin, or it's been crashed and I've had to have it repaired. That is not the case in this video. This is my, not just brand new to me, actually brand new, Elves Falath EXP, and I'm so stoked and like grateful to have it. Now, this is not a sponsored video. Elves have not given me this bike. They did give me a discount to buy this bike, probably expecting I'm going to make some sort of content about it, but I'm not bound to say anything specific. They've got no expectations. I'm going to talk about it as I want. So that's essentially what I'm going to do. Now, what this video is not is, this is not an engineering overview. I'm not a Hambini or a Peak Torque. I'm not able to talk about the different carbon layups and what's aerodynamic and what isn't. What I am is, I'm a bike rider, so I enjoy riding bikes. So what I'm going to talk about is the spec I've put on it and why, and then when I get out on the road on it, what does it feel like to ride? How does it perform from, from my opinion? So I'm not going to try and be any of those guys. So if you're looking for that sort of content, check out all the people who I'm sure are going to make videos about this. So the Falath EXP is like the newest bike in the Elves range. It looks a little bit funky. I think Elves are quite like dynamic in the space. They tend to make things that are a bit rowdy and they stand out and people talk about them. The direct-to-consumer model from China is, I know, it's gathering momentum in the UK. They're at a very competitive price point, and that's what tempted me. And essentially I thought, well, I'll give it a go. I quite do fancy a carbon race bike. At the minute I'm riding a Trek Emonda aluminium. I thought I'll give it a go. It doesn't cost the earth and we'll see how it goes. The sun's just come out at the perfect time. The paint is called Magic, and as you can see, when the sun comes out, it does really pop. It's like a multicolored flip color metallic-y paint. I did worry that it was going to be a bit too much, and maybe it is for some people, but the paint is individual to you. It was one of the big things that drew me towards Elves as a brand, to be honest, that you can pick whatever paint you want from factory. Elves have a big range. You can have the forks different color, or a seat tube different color. You can make it how you like it. Not everybody is going to like your bike how you like it, but you're going to like it how you like it. So that's the most important thing to me. I think morale is important when you're riding a bike, and if you love the look of what you're riding, I feel like there's some sort of tiny performance gain there, but I'm probably clutching at straws. I only went for the one color. I thought it was a bit too complicated to start mixing all the colors with this specific color, but I did then go for the brushed chrome or brushed aluminium logos and the little detailing on the fork and the seat tube. I think that breaks it up quite nicely and just makes it look a little bit more funky, and I really like it. The frame is a size 58. I'm 6'2", so I often have to go for the biggest bike in a range, and I do worry sometimes that it makes the bikes look ugly. When I picked this bike up from Crafted Cycles, who kindly built the bike, I thought that that was there because it's a bigger bike, and should I have gone for a size smaller and tried to fit on it so that it didn't look as ugly? I'm told that that is the shape of all of the bikes, so they're all in the same ratio, so the being bigger hasn't affected that. I guess it just looks a bit different to me, and I've not seen anything like this before. What I have seen in the past is like the old Cervelo S5s where the seat tube really hugged the rear wheel, so it just looked a little bit different to how I remembered it from the pictures, but it's not quite growing on me yet, to be honest. I don't think I'm in love with it, but I'm sure in a month or two it might have changed. Now, this whole triangle thing at the back, my thoughts on it are, I'm going to reserve judgment until I ride it. Elves, I'm just reading the blurb about it. The inverted triangle airflow channel is meticulously engineered rear triangle that is formed by the seat stay and seat tube, creating an airflow channel that minimizes wind resistance, drag coefficiency, blah, 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 blah. You can read it all if you're interested. I sort of just let all that go over my head, and I'm just going to ride it and see how it feels. If that is slightly more aero than a solid seat tube, I just don't believe that I'm going to feel the benefit of that. I'm an average bike rider. I'm 100 kilos. I just don't think that's going to be a thing. However, I have seen, and through talking to Elves, that they think, and what they know, so they say, that really adds to the compliance of the ride. That is something I'll be able to feel, so therefore I will, or hopefully, that is a benefit I will actually benefit from. Moving up to the cockpit, so this is the Elves factory cockpit. Again, you can choose what size you like. This is why Crafted Cycles are working with Elves. You can change the size of the bars without having to order extras. You just pick what you want from the start. So I went for a 110mm stem and a 36cm wide bar. I've ridden 34s on my other race bike, and it's perhaps a little bit too narrow for me for on the road. So I went for a 36, thinking, well, it's a little bit wider, but it's still narrow enough to get aero. And the 110, I did all the maths, and that's what's going to fit me, I hope, because it's on the bike. Now, mechanic Alex that built the bike tells me that this is able to run a normal, conventional bar and stem if you want. You don't need a fancy top tube cap or something, so that's great to hear. If you buy it and you don't want these bars, you've got your own already, or you want to run some different bars, cool, you can use them on that frame. You're not going to get a 3D printed something to make it fit. I've never really spoken much about bar tape on this channel. This is like a tacky bar tape. I normally go for a cork. I like the feel of it, but I thought give something a bit different, and this is what Crafted Cycles had in, and I forgot to buy bar tape, so that's what it's got. The wheels are the Veta Eliseo Ultra 60, so this is the brand that I work with on this channel. Now, these are fairly deep, as we can see, 60 mil. I think actually I need to run 60 mil wheels on a bike like this. It looks like a race bike. If I was to run 40s or maybe even 50s, especially because the bike is so big, it might just look a little bit silly. So I like that it looks cool. Also, of course, you know, 60 mil wheels are going to be fast. There's an argument out there for maybe a 50 is faster overall if they're slightly lighter, or maybe they're faster in the wind. Who knows? They look cool, they roll fast. They're a 23 mil internal rim width and a 30 mil external rim width, so nice and wide. And I've paired those with the Continental GP 5000 S's in a 32 mil. The frame can take a 32 mil tyre no problem. You could actually probably squeeze a little bit bigger in there, but 32 is the biggest you can really get like a, you know, semi-performance focused tyre. I've used these tyres on another bike for ages and they've been absolutely brilliant, so I thought, well, stick to what you know. I'll put what I know works well on here. The biggest I've crit raced on is 28, so I'm looking forward to giving these a go and seeing how they corner and seeing how they handle. They actually measure 33.4 mil as well. Now, I know I said that this bike wasn't a Facebook Marketplace build, but I did just pick up the saddle from Facebook Marketplace. I wanted to try one of these because I think the shape works well for me, looking at what other saddles I get on with, and it was really cheap. And it has a bolt mount underneath the saddle to be able to mount like a GoPro mount too. So for me, for what I do on this channel, to not have to bolt something to the seat rails and then bolt the camera to it, it's just one less thing to go wrong. So I'm going to give it a go and see how it goes. Group set wise is the Shimano Ultegra 12 speed, which is a bit of a change for me. I've pretty much exclusively ridden SRAM for the last couple of years on my other bikes, just because that's either what they've come with or what I've picked up through no deliberate choice. So when I was putting this together, I deliberately wanted to get a Shimano group set just to be able to try, you know, the other side and see what all the hype is about. Now, I picked Ultegra not because of the small weight savings over 105. I think 105 would have been absolutely fine. Only pretty much because of the buttons on the shifter hoods, so you can program in these buttons to change your Garmin screen or to change your shifter. Perhaps a bit of a gimmick, but something for me to test. I do think, you know, in that sort of breakaway position, if I'm able to shift on top of the hoods, that might be a small advantage to me, but I just thought, well, I'm going to the trouble of buying a new group set, so I might as well get the one that I actually want. In terms of ratios, I tried to blend, you know, racing and training. I live in the Peak District in Derbyshire. It's really hilly, so I've got the 5236 chain set, which is the biggest that they do now. That's used to be a mid-compact, and an 1134 cassette, so I'm hoping that's a big enough range for me to be able to do both of those things. I am now just thinking, oh, I missed that 10-tooth sprocket and then running a smaller crank for the lower end, but you know, I'm hoping that that will be absolutely fine. 160mm rotors front and rear. One difference I did notice with the calipers is they look a little bit bigger than the SRAM ones, and they've got like a heat dissipating thing on them, so whether that's actually a benefit or not, I don't know. I guess I do quite a lot of descending in the Peak District, but the majority of the time this bike will be ridden on a flat crit circuit, so I'm not sure that's the be all and end all. And I put 160mm rotors on it front and rear just so I can swap wheels around a bit easier and not have to faff with changing different size rotors. Couple of points on weight. Now, this bike does have a maximum rider weight, the same as the triathlon bike, of 100 kilos, and I'm only just ever so slightly under that now, so that's fine for the time being, but if you're over that, it perhaps not a bike that's rated to you. And the bike itself, as it stands here now, weighs 8 kilos exactly, so by the time I add pedals and bottle cages, it's probably going to be 8.3-ish, which is not super light, but it is the biggest frame that they do, so maybe there's a couple of 100 grams in that, and I actually think it's not horrendously heavy, and for the money, I think that's absolutely fine, so I'm sure it won't be the reason that I'm held back in my riding. My other impressions of the Elves buying experience is quite straightforward. When you first think, oh, I've got to buy a bike from China, am I going to get charged import fees and all of that, they just sort it all out. You just pay the one price and it just turns up at your door. There's none of that sort of admin, and through unboxing the bike and seeing what's in the package, you get a spare rear mech hanger, which is great. You get the computer mount that's already got a GoPro mount on it for, you know, Wahoo and Garmin. It just seems like they think of the things that you might need. You get a T47 bottom bracket tool to be able to fit your bottom bracket, because not everybody will have one of those at home. So I think they really think about, okay, the person getting this is going to want to put the bike together, and they might drop it and need a mech hanger, and that's not as easy to order from China. They might have a different computer mount to what they've ticked on the box and put, you know, both options in, those sorts of things. So I do do really like that. The other comments from mechanic Alex who built it said that the integrated seat post isn't like a proper integrated seat post, in that because it's like a sleeve, it's just similar to how a normal seat post would operate, and you only had to trim a small amount off the seat post. I've still got lots of adjustment either way. It's not like with the old Giant TCR, for example, where you've only got a couple of centimeters either way. So there's actually a lot of adjustment, which is encouraging for me given how many times I changed my saddle height. The only other changes I've got planned is I did ask Crafted Cycles to leave me a couple of spaces in the front end, just so I've got some options for if it is too aggressive. It doesn't look too aggressive right now, but I'm going to ride it as it is, see how I get on. If I really want to drop it down to the front, I've got a bit more option. I'm going to get some of my partner on this channel, NRG wax chain, so I'll put a chain and ceramic bearing jockey wheels on it, no problem. And I think I'm going to get one of the Easy Gains chainring covers on the front, so that it is, as you know, I want to race on this bike and I need all the help I can get, so I might as well. Okay, thank you to my audience and thank you to you guys for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you've got one of these and you've ridden it, let me know what you think. I'm hoping to get out on this in the next week or two, but I am severely bunged up, so I'm not entirely sure when that will be happening, so I'll be back soon.